All right, my name is Allison Mitchell, and I'll be briefing you this morning. Main story for the weather this week is a coastal storm that we're expecting to impact the area tonight into tomorrow, mostly first half of tomorrow. Um, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, we're thinking, strong gusty winds as well as heavy rainfall and some coastal flooding. Here's a surface map of what we're expecting around tomorrow morning. Low pressure system along the coast. Now, this is not like a lot of nor'easters that travel up the coast, up into New England. We're expecting this after it, spins up to our southeast to just go ahead and move straight out to sea. So anyway, moving forward, here's just a summary of the forecast and these key messages. So again, strong gusty winds and heavy rainfall, as well as coastal flooding. We're looking at rainfall totals of 1 to 3 inches with some locally higher amounts, but not thinking much in the way of flooding given how dry it's been lately. However, recently fall, there could be some storm drain issues with leaves clogging the drains. As far as tidal flooding goes, we're looking for tides to increase Friday to minor and moderate flood levels along the coast, and then on the marine front, we do have gale warnings in effect for a good chunk of our area, the lower bay and the southern coastal waters. So again, those are those marine hazards I just mentioned. So yeah, we've got all those gale watches we had up to get converted to gale warnings for these southern half of the coastal waters, the lower bay and the lower James, as well as the Currituck Sound, and then small craft advisories elsewhere. Looking for strong winds of 25 to 30 knots and some gusts up to 40. There has been a change since I sent out the briefing this morning in the email to our coastal flood hazards, and this is an updated image. So for today, all of the coastal flood statements were converted to advisories since the tides were running a little higher, we're trending a little higher. So those have been converted to coastal flood advisories. And then for tomorrow, we've done away with some of the coastal flood watches and converted those to warnings, but keeping the advisories up on the eastern shore. Just a side note about the northern neck, around Louisetta. Do anticipate that they will have either a coastal flood advisory continuing into tomorrow or a coastal flood warning, and that decision's being made by this afternoon. All right, so let's talk about the winds. Looking for those northeast winds to increase early Friday morning before the sun comes up and persisting through much of the day Friday. The strongest winds will be at our southern coast and in the lower bay, looking at around 35 to 40 mile an hour gusts. And then further inland, looking more like 15 to 25 mile an hour gusts. I do just want to give you an idea of like a high-end scenario. So at our southern coast there, we could see a few gusts up to 40 and 50. That's a high-end forecast there. But looking most gusts should stay between that 35 to 40 mile an hour range. All right, moving on to rainfall, I will say that we do have some light rain already moving into the area here in our Piedmont area, and that rain will continue to move into the area, continue to push east, and we're looking at a widespread, at least an inch or more of rain is expected. Most of it should stay south of 64, and in those areas, we're looking at 1.5 to 2.5 inches. maybe some spots up to 3, and then lower amounts north of I-64. And as far as that high-end rainfall go, we say locally higher amounts. So, those locally higher amounts could be, 3 to 3.5 inches of rain. So the timing of that rainfall looks to be Thursday night tonight into Friday morning. And again, here's just touching on that timing of rain. You see it really picking up this evening, staying lighter this afternoon, then really picking up this evening into late tonight, and then drying out around daybreak tomorrow. All right. For the tidal flooding hazards, I don't want to flip through every individual tide gauge graph, since that is on our website and in the original briefing that was in the emails this morning. So I'll just kind of give this overview of what we're looking at. So it's looking like a widespread minor to moderate flooding in all of our tidal areas. Down in the James River and along our southeast coast there, we could see it touch major. We're not at this point not really expecting it to get super far into major, just kind of barely touching that area. So we're looking at 1 to 2 feet of inundation at many of our waterfront locations tomorrow. And then we're looking for those tides to decrease through the weekend as those winds switch around to the northwest. For marine impacts, very, very confident in gusts of at least 25 knots, which is 30 miles an hour. Very confident in that scenario. As far as gusts greater than 34 knots, looking for those to be pretty limited to the southern waters, as you can see in this middle graphic here. And then just very low probabilities, mostly to our south, of gusts in excess of 48 knots. And here's our forecast for that. So again, we're looking at max wind gusts in the low 40s in those southern waters, and low 30s to the north and further up the rivers. As far as waves go, we're looking at 7 to 10 feet in the coastal waters, and I will note that a high surf advisory has been put in place for possible beach erosion from those 10-foot seas, and then around 4 to 5 feet in the bay. And then I'll just pause here for a moment. This is just looking at that timing of those stronger winds and the wind direction. You can see it's kind of peaking around that 6 a.m. time frame. So, late tonight into early tomorrow, and decreasing tomorrow afternoon as those winds switch around. So this is just that summary slide again, those strong gusty winds and heavy rainfall. This coastal storm is really the bulk of the weather information for the week, looking at drying out this weekend and through early next week, and very seasonable temperatures. Looking overall, as far as fall weather goes, fairly pleasant for the weekend and early next week. So I'll just pause here, and I am happy to take any questions.